Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at remote access software to add to your Raspberry Pi running FPP in order to give you access to your instance of FPP when you might not be in the same location or on the same network as your Pi. What do we mean by remote access? Surely we're just jumping onto our network and accessing the Pi remotely anyway. So what I'm talking about is the ability to extend your connectivity to the Pi across the internet, so that wherever you are, if you can get cell phone access or internet access through Wi-Fi somewhere, then you can get to your instance of FPP. So why would you want that? Well, it could be a couple of reasons. One might be that you're not at home all of the time. Maybe you work remotely, or you've got to go away for a week with the day job or something like that. And you want to make sure that your show is up and running and is working for your better half, so that you don't get it in the ear when you get home. Might be something as simple as you're not there and little Johnny from down the street comes up and you want to play his favourite tune, like Christmas Robot. At least then your better half can get you on the phone and say, can you just stick that on for him? Christmas robot, beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop. Christmas robot, beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop. Christmas robot, beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop. Christmas robot, beep, beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop. It'll also give you peace of mind in that scenario that you can just log on and check the status and, yep, it started up as expected at the right time. And off it went. Now the alternative might be that your show is set up at a remote location. Maybe you have it over at a customer's site and it's set up connected to a 3G, 4G dongle, and you just want to make sure that it's behaving for the customer. So you just log on of an evening and make sure that it's doing its thing. Or maybe they've asked you for an update to the sequence, and rather than driving 100 miles to go and physically upload the sequence, you can just jump on, set up the new sequence that you've got for them, push it over the connection, and Bob's your uncle. There you go. You haven't had to visit, and their new sequence is up and running. So today we're going to have a look at a couple of the more common options, and we'll discuss the pros and cons of each as we go. Now, the old favorite for simplicity is one called Dataplicity. Dataplicity is good if you're not too worried about security. So what it does is it creates what's called a wormhole, and it gives you a bespoke URL, a web link on Dataplicity's website that you can just stick into any browser, and it will give you your FPP web interface there. Done. Simples. The only security with it is the peculiar name that you're going to get for your instance, and we'll see that in a few minutes. But if you happen to mistakenly share that name, maybe you take a screenshot with it on and accidentally post it into one of the FPP online groups or the official Xlite support group or something, then the world and his wife have got your address, and they can come in and they can do what they like to your instance of FPP. Yes, you could stick the password protection onto the front, which gives you a little bit more security, but once they've got it, a determined hacker will be in there in no time. So that's the easy one. I've used it in the past successfully. I've also seen other people use it, and I've seen it hacked. So yes, it's usable. Might not be the right one, but it depends on your needs. The second one we're going to look at today is quite a new one from a company called Tailscale. Now this is a dedicated VPN connection. So you need to set it up on both the Raspberry Pi and any devices that you're going to want to use to access that Raspberry Pi. So if you've got your own laptop that you're taking out and about, or it's for a dedicated site-to-site connection, then that might be absolutely fine. But if you're going to want to jump onto your instance of FPP from all over the place using a myriad of different devices that are connected to the internet, then Tailscale isn't for you. So it's a balancing act between freely available on any device, but at a risk of security, or more secure, but you're limited on what devices you can connect to it from. So let's start with the first one, the oldest one of all, which is Dataplicity. And I'll run through the setup and show you how it works. Now I've got my instance of FPP up and running here. So let's jump onto it and get Dataplicity set up. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump onto my web browser and open up a link to the Dataplicity site. Here it comes, there we go. So as it says on the tin, control your Raspberry Pi from anywhere. Or Ubuntu even, or Debian, or whatever device it is. We're going for Raspberry Pi. Now this is a very simple install. We start off by giving it our email address. So I'm going to use panelsrus.com. And it says, hey there. And then all we need to do is to copy this line of code, which we're going to run on our Pi. So I'm just going to grab that line of code. I'll highlight it and use Control-C on my Windows PC to copy that. And it says, copy the line of code into your Raspberry Pi terminal to activate your remote shell. So we do that, and now we're going to go back to our instance of FPP, and we're going to open what's called a shell session. So I'm going to go into help. I'm going to go into SSH shell here. And it's asking us for an FPP login. Now, if you've left it at default when you set up FPP, then your login is going to be FPP and with a password of Falcon. There we go. So that's let us into the command line. And we can now paste that config that we just captured. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to paste from browser. It gives us a window which we've got to paste into. So I'm going to do Control-V to paste. There it is. And OK. And that's put it in. And now we need to press enter to execute it. There we go. Now your FPP device needs to have internet access for this to work. So make sure that it's up, it's connected to your network, and ideally if it's got the time, then it's got internet access. So just make sure of that before you continue. So it's just doing the setup on the Pi for us. There we go. That's the installation on the Pi configured. It's all done, it's ready to go. So what we need to do now is visit this link. So hopefully it's given us a hyperlink that we can click on directly. So I'm just going to click on that. There we go. And it's setting up our new online instance of FPP. Now, this over here is going to be the web address that we use online to connect to our FPP. So we need to enable what's called a wormhole to let the web access out. There we go. and there is our URL. So we can simply click on the URL and we get yet another tab. And there is our instance of FPP running via the internet. Now you want to capture that URL and save it into your favorites or put it somewhere where you're going to remember it. And that is the URL that anybody can access on the internet to get to your FPP. Now they're going to have to know it's called Unaware Dragonfly 2371 in our case to make it happen. But if they do see that, then they've got access. So just be aware, yes, it gives you access. No, it isn't really secure. Right, I'll just close that window. For security, we would like you to verify your email address. So they'll send you a verification email. Just click on that and that will activate your account. Otherwise, I think it shuts down after a predetermined period. Now, that's a completely free site. There are no costs for just a single instance. If you want 2 or more, then they'll start charging for you. But that's Dataplicity done. Really straightforward. It's not difficult at all. Moving on from Dataplicity, the other option that we're going to look at today is from a company called Tailscale. And they give us a dedicated VPN. Again, it's free for home use. And that's going to let us join 2 machines across the internet and allow us to access our FPP remotely. Now they have clients not only for the Raspberry Pi, but also of course for PC, Mac, also for things like iPads and iPhones, and of course Android as well. So you can get a client installed onto your device, even if you've just got your tablet with you, so you can get remote access across the internet. And this is a lot more secure than the previous instance of Dataplicity, but it does then of course limit the devices that you can access from. But you've got to balance the two and work out which suits your needs best. So let's jump onto Tailscale and have a look at getting that set up. So I'm going to go to tailscale.com. There we go, and here's the setup page. For home use, we can use it for free. So let's go to use Tailscale for free. You need to have an existing email account with one of these providers for them to authenticate. I'm going to go with Google. So there we are. So we've logged in using our existing email credentials, which they've authenticated against. And now we can add our first device. So I'm going to go for Linux. And we have a very simple script again, much like Dataplicity, that we can install at the command line. So they've got a handy clipboard icon this time, so I'm just going to click that. Command copying to clipboard, there we go. Now we need to install Tailscale in a very similar manner to that which we installed Dataplicity. So I'm going to go down to Help and SSH shell. We're going to log in with the username of FPP and the password of Falcon, which is the default. So if you've changed it when you first set FPP up, yours may be different. There we go, complete with typo the first time, but we're in now. Now for Dataplicity, the installation command needs to be run as a super user. So I need to elevate the permissions of our account to super user before we execute the command. So I'm going to type in sudo su hyphen, and that elevates us from FPP user to the root user. We can then right click to paste from browser, do a Control V to paste the command from Tailscale into our box. OK, and OK again. And it's now going to download the installer and execute the installation of Tailscale onto our Raspberry Pi. There we go, it's done the install already, nice and quick. And now we need to execute the command tailscale up to bring the interface up. That looks good. It's given us a command to execute to authenticate. I'm going to click on that link and sign into Tailscale again. Do you want to add the device to your network? And the answer is yes, please. So we'll connect. And you have now approved FPP onto your network. Now, if I flip back to the other, we've got two Tailscale tabs open now. And we can see that the first one, the FPP device, is now on the network, and there's its IP address. And if we go to FPP, there we go, we can see that we now have a separate Tailscale interface online with the same IP. So we've got our instance of FPP up and onto our Tailscale network. We now need to add the PC here to the network as well, so that the two can talk to each other over the VPN, the virtual private network. So I'm going to go back to the Tailscale page, and I'm going to go to Windows, because I'm recording this on a Windows PC. It's given us the URL, so I can copy that and just paste that into another browser tab. That's given me a link in the middle of the page, so I can click on that. And there we go. Right, we're now downloading the installer for Tailscale on Windows. There we go, the installer has done its thing, so we can now open the installer. Yes, I agree to the license, and I'm going to install. It's just given me the admin permissions page, so I've just okayed that, and it's now proceeding with the installation of Tailscale. It's done it. So let's launch. Right, it's just popped up a new window for us. So it took a few moments to start, and it's now popped up a new tab for us to connect, much as it did with the Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to hit connect again. You have approved this laptop. And if I close that tab, we can see now that we have two devices on our network. And that is it. We've done it. So how do we use it? Well, quite simply, we take the IP address of our FPP instance here, and we put it into our browser. And there we are. There is our instance of FPP up and running on the Tailscale IP address. Now, what's special about that is it doesn't matter what Wi-Fi network you're connected to, whether you piggyback in off your mobile phone, off a 3G or 4G dongle, something like that. Anywhere that you've got internet access now, put that IP address in and you'll get your instance of FPP. Now that IP address is solely for you. It is not reachable from anywhere else on the outside interweb. So it's secure. So only you or other devices that you've added to your Tailscale network can get to it. Now it might mean that you need to add another device for some purpose, in which case you can just go through the procedure again and add it in. And you can add devices to your own little network. And that's it, you're done. So you've got access from wherever you are securely to your instance of FPP. So you can do whatever you need to do from wherever you are. So that's a wrap for this little video. We've gone through Dataplicity. We've shown you how simple it is to get Dataplicity set up and how easy it is to use it but the security implications that you might find in doing so. We also went for the more secure option of Tailscale, which is a little bit more advanced. You have to install the client on both the device that you're trying to get to, the Pi with FPP, and the device that you're trying to connect from, be it in this case a Windows laptop, your iPad, your Android, your Mac, or whatever it is. Tailscale is a lot more secure, needs a bit more setup. Dataplicity is really easy, but not quite so secure. So it's up to you which option you take. I've used Dataplicity in the past with no problems at all, but I will probably flip to Tailscale for the added security these days. So I hope you found that useful. As always, take care, have fun, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.
Christmas robot, beep beep boop boop, bottle bottle bop bop.